all right, what does it mean to really lead people? Not a program, not a department, not a process, but really people. So for me, it started first and foremost from a place of, I know that I can build a program, I can create an operation. And then over time, it became more about, oh, I'm leading and inspiring and motivating people.
Why did you even get into leadership in the first place? Like, what was the major? Because certain people want to do it, certain people don't. So I think let's just start at like, why leadership in the first place?
Ooh, good question. I don't know that I ever had a conscious thought of like, oh, I want to be in a leadership position. I was, so my first time being an SDR manager, or manager at all, is this was early 2017. I had joined this company at the end of 2016. I was started off as a BDR there after having been an AE for a short bit. And I was just kind of like, whatever, let me just get in where I fit in. A company's going to grow. I'll have opportunities to be promoted. So if anything, I was like, I just want to be promoted. Like that's the most important thing. And a couple months after I joined that organization, we got a new VP of sales. I don't even think it was a couple months. I think it was like a week after I joined, we got a new VP of sales. And immediately I was like, let me play this political stuff. Like, let me make sure that I'm helping him out. Like, he's going to be my best friend and my biggest fan, and I'm going to help him make things happen. And he had said, hey, we're going to be hiring a couple of roles, including an SDR manager. And I had been at an organization where we're building the SDR program from the ground up. So I think from my side, I wasn't thinking about management or leader. I wasn't thinking about being in a people leader position as being a people leader. I was thinking about it as, all right, this is a program. I can help build it out. I understand how it functions. I understand the operations of it. So if anything, like in my first couple of years, I was really looking at it from more of an operational lens. And I'm like, I know how to operationalize an SDR program. It wasn't really until the past few years that I really started to think about, or I had to think about, all right, what does it mean to really lead people? Not a program, not a department, not a process, but really people. So for me, it started first and foremost from a place of, I know that I can build a program, I can create an operation. And then over time, it became more about, oh, I'm leading and inspiring and motivating people.
That is very interesting because, I think a lot of people want to get into leadership to say, hey, I want to change the world. I want to impact people. I want to, even make a lot of money, build things. But you said, I want to do it because the operational side of it and like running a process right there. So what does that mean? So when you were an SDR, you said, hey, I want to go into an SDR leadership role so I can operationalize this business or this department or how our team is running. Is that what you mean when you say kind of operationalize it?
Yeah, it was kind of. So it was the scenario was I was a BDR at the time and we had one other BDR and we weren't really using BDRs in the way that I knew we could be using them. The role itself was more so being an assistant to the AEs, like rather than BDRs just going in and working inbound leads first and then qualifying it, handing off to the AE. The sales director at that company is like, oh, I want you to go through this lead list and manually assign it to AEs. I'm like, what are we doing here? So for me, I think I walked into this place that I never had a BDR or SDR program, didn't have people on board who knew even what an SDR program really could do. And then I had been an SDR at a high performing team and like had seen how we had to build up processes, bring in tech, hire people. So I'm like, all right, I've seen enough to feel confident enough to go, I could do that as well. And so it really was more about, I think first and foremost, I knew that I wanted to get promoted. Like I knew I wanted to get out of the BDR seat. Initially, I thought I was going to be an AE position, but then a manager position popped up. I'm like, oh, actually, like I think I can do this and I can do this pretty well. So that was really it, like the desire to be promoted. Secondly, I'm like, I believe that from an operational sense, I can build out a program. And those were the two main things. Again, and over time, I think how I've evolved and matured as a manager, it's more about, oh, wow, like I was missing so many things on the people side of things that I've had to grow into. But yeah, that's really how it went.
Okay. So I want to bookmark that people side of it because I think that's like the juicy good stuff right there that I really want to feel.
Super juicy. Yeah, super juicy. Because I have many thoughts on people go into management positions and they're really just, they're operators. Like they're not, Like they know how to project manage, they know how to program manage, but they don't know how to lead people. And so they treat people like projects or programs or processes, and that's just not what the case is. So I can go on a whole soapbox on that one.
Well, people want that's a profound statement. People want an asshole manager more than they want an asshole manager is going to make them better more than someone's just going to make them feel good and not make them better. That's a profound statement.
Yeah.
I have two more questions here for you. The first one is this, because I want to flip the script just a tiny bit. Where yes, we have a lot of leaders listen to this podcast. We also have a lot of individual contributors who listen to this podcast. And, some people might be listening to this, be like, man, I wish I had a leader, a manager who approached the relationship with me like this, who was invested into me as a person, who was able to give me direct feedback, who leveraged the data in order to be doing that. Mm-hmm. So, you talked a little bit about, like, at the early stages of Gong, you got on a new VP of sales and you weren't even a leader yet. What can an individual contributor do to improve the relationship with their manager to ensure that they are going to be getting their needs met from a development and a coachee type of perspective?
Yes, great question. So I would say that you have to become the change you wish to see in the world. And so whatever it is that you're wanting to see from your manager, one, I would try and get clarity as to what exactly you want them to do, right? It's not about who they are, it's about their behaviors. Like, what are the behaviors that you feel like do not exist, and get really clear on that. I would first and foremost try and figure out, how can you give that to yourself first? Like, all right, hey, like, I really wish that my manager was more data informed. Okay, what does that look like exactly, and how would that benefit you? All right. Now, how can you do that for yourself first? Right. If one of the things is, hey, I'm the SDR world, right? Like, I'm doing all these activities. I'm not getting in any meetings. I'm doing exactly as my manager wants me to do. But it's not netting results, right? Get curious about what the data can tell you as to what you need to do better. So that's the first part. And so if you're getting better, right, then what's happens? Let me just say this: not every manager knows how to do this shit. Like, totally. and not every manager is going to have. Not every person who's in a management position is going to have the what do we call that? They're not going to be proactive. They might not even know they need to know this stuff. So if you get really good at this stuff, and then you go into your one-on-one and you're like, hey, Alex, so I know that our activity expectations are 100 calls a day, right? And I've been doing 100 calls a day, and I haven't been able to get any conversations this week. And I also haven't booked any opportunities. I know that, right? But here's what I'm starting to notice is, actually, when I call this group of people over here, right? Or when I'm using LinkedIn, I'm actually getting more conversations on LinkedIn. And I'd like to have something to scale that out more. And here's exactly what I'm going to do. And here's exactly what my results are. I'd love to partner with you on making sure that this is, number one, okay with you. But also, I think this also can help other people on the team. And all of a sudden, most of the time, the manager is going to go, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about LinkedIn before. Mm-hmm. So I think, like, so this is really about the, like, managing up, or you coaching your manager. And some people might be like, oh man, I don't want to do that. Right. But sometimes, again, I think I was that person where people would come to me and say, hey, here's what I want to do. And I'm like, y'all are the subject matter experts. My role here is, again, empower you, support you. I want to see your stuff, like, be super successful. If it works really well, let's scale it out. You get all the credit, right? Mm-hmm. We love that. And that's helped me be a better manager by fostering that kind of environment. So, like, I say, first and foremost, give your manager a chance to show up in the way you want them to. But, sometimes other managers, they're not going to be that way. And that's unfortunate for that manager. Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the Rising Leader Podcast. Make sure you hit that follow button so you get notified every time a new episode releases. If you know someone who wants to take their lives and their career to the next level, send them this episode so we can all rise together. For more information, check out alluviance.co. We'll see you next time. And in the meantime, keep letting it flow.